Just in case Johnny wants to listen, I'm recording it. Okay. Mom, tonight we're talking about do not commit adultery. And
Can you talk to me about it?
no, tonight we are talking about do not commit adultery. And the underlying principle that we're going to be talking about, the core value, is being a loyal or faithful person. Now, first we need to define our terms. What is loyalty? What does it mean to be faithful? So there's a beautiful definition.
And you should go,
over here,
go up, yeah, go quicker through the screen. Yeah.
right? Faithfulness is the loyal adherence to commitments and promises. So us human beings are very good at collaborating, getting together, doing things with other people. And what makes it unique is that we can actually trust each other, because the opposite, what is the relationship between loyalty and trust?
Pardon?
What's the relationship between loyalty and trust? Michael, you're muted for some reason. Are you meant to be muted?
Oh, what are you eating?
Watermelon. Looks good.
Nick, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Michael, what is it?
I think they go hand in hand. You can't be loyal without trust, and you can't have trust if you're not loyal.
So in other words, we only trust those people that we believe are loyal to us. Right? Once you have someone loyal, faithful to you, then you can trust them.
Why did someone need to be faithful to you? They can be honest and trustworthy without being loyal.
Faithful means they're going to keep their commitment and promise to you. So if you don't think that they're going to do that, you're not going to trust them. You're not going to trust that they're going to do that. Meaning, me being faithful to you instills trust. That's the way to build trust, is you being there for people when it matters, then they start to trust you. Okay? So let's talk about Emunah is a central theme in the relationship we have with God. Relationships are not necessarily devoid of struggle with commitment, like the Israelites' relationship with God. And in marriage, there are many times these relationships are tested. So this is a very interesting thing. When Moses, there's a war, there's a group of people called Amalek, a nation that comes out. When the Jewish people come out of Egypt, the Bible tells us in Exodus 17:12 that Amalek made war on the Jewish people. And describing how Moses went on top of the mountain during the war, but Moses' hands grew heavy, so they took a stone, put it under him, and he sat on it, while Aaron and Hur, each on each side, supported his hands. Thus his hands were Emunah until sunset. Meaning, Emunah, which we defined above, means being faithful, means remaining steady. You're a person of principle, someone that lives. You know, none of us like people that don't have principles, because we don't know where we are with them. You know, today they're your friend, tomorrow they're not. You know, you can't form a loving, trusting relationship with someone without principles. So Emunah, being a faithful person, is not only being faithful to others, right? It's not only fulfilling your promises and commitments to others, but it's keeping your own principles. It's being faithful to yourself. Okay, now this is really interesting too. When Moses questions God's faithfulness, when he is disappointed that Pharaoh has not set the people free. So basically what happens in the Bible is the Jewish people are in Egypt. We are slaves. and downtrodden. And God appears to Moses in the burning bush. He says, Moses, go ahead and take these people out. I'll be with you. So he goes and he speaks to Pharaoh, the king. And Pharaoh's like, you got to be joking. And he throws them out. So Moses turns around to God and he says, God, what's going on here? You told me, you've told me to make some efforts and it's just getting worse. In fact, Pharaoh says that not only are you out of here, but I'm going to make the Jewish people work even harder. I'm going to enslave them even worse. So Moses turns around to God, says, what's going on? And God spoke to Moses and he said to them, I am Hashem, usually translated the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as God Almighty, but I did not make myself known to them by my name Hashem. Rashi's commentary, I was not recognized by my true attribute for my name, which is called Hashem, which donates that I'm certain to substantiate my promise. For indeed, I made promises to them, but I did not fulfill them during their lifetime to the forefathers, meaning that God says, my name donates that which I'm certain to substantiate my promise. More than anything else, God is faithful. God says, I will fulfill whatever I promised, right? We're living in 2022, right? The Jewish people come into the land of Israel and they live there for about 800 years. They're exiled, then they live there for about another 400 years. And so all in all, like 1,200 years out of history as we know it. And then we go into exile. Gone. And yet in 1948, a miracle happens and the Jewish people are returned to the land. Why? Because God substantiates his promise. He said, I'm giving you the land. I'll kick you out if needs be, but you'll always come back to it. So that is living example of God fulfilling his
promise, his commitment to
promise.
Timelines are
Jewish
all
people.
off, but that's
Okay. What is now here's an interesting question. What is the relationship between faith and faithfulness?
Faith is a concept. It's if you have faith, you believe in God, right? But faithfulness means it's the method. It's the method through which you observe your faith. Faith is the concept and faithfulness is the method or the way you live it out.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. So I think you're saying faith is in your mind, what you believe. Faithfulness is in your actions, that you live by what you believe. Right?
That's what yeah.
Okay, Mom, do you have any thoughts on this subject?
No.
Mom, are you there? Do
Yeah, I'm here.
you have any thoughts on the subject?
I'm thinking.
Good. Paul, Gloria, what do you think?
Faith is in your mind and faithfulness is really, borne out by your actions.
That's like Michael. Yeah, fine. That's a very good, I think that's a very good insight. Gloria, what do you think?
They go together.
Paul, just repeat that.
Faith is in your mind and faithfulness is borne out through your actions.
So what you believe
But
is one thing, and then your faithfulness is, do you keep it?
which are you doing it? Are you keeping it?
Right. Are you living with it? So,
Like I made a promise, am I fulfilling my promise?
Right. So we.
Well, isn't
Right.
it?
Good.
Aren't you rather talking about a belief system? Like faith is really a belief system. You believe that there's a God out there. You believe that that in order to have faith, you've got to believe in something. It's the concept behind it. But then when it comes down to your faithfulness, that is when I'll give you an example. You would go to shul, or you don't even have to go to shul. You just pray to God, so that you're tapping into your faith by exercising, by performing the action of praying.
I agree with Michael.
I agree.
Yeah,
too.
I believe it's the exercise of the faith.
Sure, why not?
To me, faith always has an unknown to it. You have faith when you don't have knowledge. Right? I don't have faith that I'm talking to you. I know I'm talking to you. So you have faith fills in.
Why would you have faith that you're talking to?
That's
Faith
what I'm
is a
saying.
belief.
I don't need faith that I'm talking to you. I know I'm talking to you. You only need faith for that which you don't know.
You
So
need the internet.
So to me, the relationship between faith and faithfulness is it's almost like we spoke about trust. I put my faith in that which I don't know, and logically that should only be in that which will be in God who is faithful to me, or in people that are faithful to me. Otherwise, why would you put your faith into that? That's not faith.
Actually, is the difference.
That's
between putting
blind faith, right?
Hmm?
That's the difference between blind faith and logical faith. Meaning blind faith, I bought a lottery ticket. I'm going to win. I've got faith that I'm going to win. That's not logical. There's no reason why no one promised you're going to win the lottery. So you can hope, but you can't have faith. Faith is when there's reason to have faith. And that's only when the God you're putting your faith into, the people you're putting your faith into are faithful. You like that, Paul? Okay, good. Got a thumbs up from Paul. Excellent, good. But I like your faith is in your mind, faithfulness is in your actions. That's new to me. Excellent, good. All right, now, other types of relationships. There are many types of relationships, and with them different commitments. The Talmud quotes Rabbi Hanan saying that there are 3 items, if seen in a dream, indicate peace: a river, a kettle, and a bird. The peace he is referring to is peaceful relationships. The river, which connects 2 cities for trade, symbolizes a contract. Peaceful when both parties are committed to honest business, right? So the Talmud says when you get to heaven, the first question you're asked is, have you dealt honestly in your business, right? Did you keep your commitments? If you made a price with someone, you sold it to them, you selling merchandise, you selling what you really are, what you're really presenting to sell. The kettle symbolizes partnership. The fire works together with the pot to heat the water. So too partners work together, committed to a common goal. You're working with partners, you have a partnership, right? A bird is able to fly using its wings and tail. Symbolizes a covenant, the peaceful relationship of 2 personalities melding into one identity. When Rabbi Aryeh Levine went with his wife to the doctor to check on her leg, he told the doctor, our leg is sore. Every relationship has commitments. Sometimes they are explicit and sometimes they are implicit. The commitment of marriage is made clear through the ketubah and in the wedding ceremony. Business commitments are made clear through contracts. Other
Contracts.
relationships, like parenting and friendship, also have their commitments. The following texts give us insights into those commitments and relationships. Any comments at this stage? Okay, what are your obligations
That makes sense.
to your children? The Talmud says a father, Michael, Paul, is obligated to circumcise his son. Have you done that?
Yes.
Check.
Have you done that to your children?
Yes. To
Practiced on you, Nick.
redeem him if he's a firstborn. Check. To teach him Torah.
Yes.
Question mark.
Yes.
To find him a wife. Oh yes, for Yaakov.
Yes.
And to teach him a trade. Which, by the way,
Yes.
does that mean I should pay for Yaakov's medical school?
Yes.
Because that would be very difficult for me right now. I think I have.
Are
You
you
should tell him to
speaking
find a
absolution?
different profession.
What?
He
What
should
for?
have found a
think
different
you-
profession.
You owe a duty to your son to pay his medical bills, his medical tuition.
Well, he was
No.
able to take some loans for this in order to go
No.
to school.
I'm sure you could have too.
So,
No,
so-
I don't think I could have got loans for his medical school.
no, so you're talking about the concept of what a son should do for his child, his son and his
Ah.
daughters, right?
What
It's a
a father.
segue into some say.
I mean, a
Jesus
father
not
should
Shem.
do so. So let's go back to the concept. Don't you think that you should prepare your children for the world to come or for the future as best you can, and then give them the ability to go find themselves and go figure it out themselves and use the skills and the education you have given them to go forth into the world?
That's really what it's saying, right? You have to
Yeah.
circumcise, bring them into the covenant, redeem him, teach Torah, give him morality, an ethical way of living, find him a wife, help him set up his own family, and to teach him a trade, to have the way. So all of this is the way, setting him up for success. And some say teach him how to swim, because that's a necessary also, right? Which is how to save him, how he could save himself from danger. Okay,
Correct.
fine. So that's the obligations of a parent to a child. I want to just, at this stage, since we are doing this class in memory of our late father, to acknowledge that he really did fulfill this in every way. Mom, it's not just the father,
Yes,
it's
he did.
also the mother. And as parents, I can definitely check off that I am circumcised. I didn't have to get redeemed. Actually, Michael redeemed himself. Mom,
I had to
Mom,
that was actually,
you forgot
Nick,
one.
let's not
Actually,
business. You can go circumcise yourself.
wait a second. Nick, the folks or dad did not redeem me.
I know.
So he did not check off every box. However,
Okay, well, for me,
However, from my perspective, I went to the land of Israel to redeem myself with a whole bunch of golden coins and chains and lots of dancing and drinking. So that was fine.
Okay, teach him
What
Torah,
stage of your
find
life
him a
did-
wife, teach him a trade, and how to swim. What, Mom?
I said, at what stage of his life did Michael go to Israel to do that?
Mom, it was on Yaakov's,
In 1997.
it was Yaakov's bar mitzvah. I mean, not bar mitzvah, Yaakov's birth. And
1997.
he-
So
and
my-
Yaakov had a pidyon haben, which is the redeeming of the firstborn.
you were
And at the same
36, Mike.
time, hey,
You were 36.
yeah, but you are actually eligible to do so if you have not been given that eligibility by your parents, by your father.
Right. Same thing with circumcision. If your parents don't give you
Correct.
circumcision when you grow up, you should make sure you get it done.
Thank God we were all snipped at birth.
Fine.
That's a pretty painful experience. I would
This is an
imagine.
interesting verse in Proverbs. A base fellow gives away secrets, but a trustworthy soul keeps a confidence.
Yes.
This
Meaning,
fellow.
friendship. In friendship, and what people tell us, right? This is an unwritten law, but you have to have a base person doesn't realize that people have secrets, right? Not everything everyone tells you is public information. And it was very interesting. I had a case just 2 days ago. I was playing tennis, and a father of one of my students at the school I teach at was there, and I was schmoozing with him. And I was like, well, how do you know the guy that you're playing? Because I didn't realize they knew each other. So he said, well, I'm getting divorced. So I was like, really? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry to hear that, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, wow, my student, who I'm relatively close to, did not tell me. So I wanted to know, should I say something to my student? Would you want your school teacher to come up to you and say, well, I heard, I met your dad, he told me, and, I'm really sorry. And if you ever want to, if I could help you in any way, if you want to talk, I'm here. So I wrote to the principal of the school an email saying, what's the policy? I'd like to do that. And she said, no, that's a private matter, and you can't bring it up. If they bring it up to you, that's fine, but you can't bring it up to them.
Quite correct.
Do you agree with that?
I agree with that, because you should really wait for the child to when the child's ready to talk to you about it.
The
He will.
child's 14,
What are you, the teacher or the rabbi?
teacher rabbi.
Oh.
I mean, they call me rabbi, but I'm a teacher. I'm in the classroom with them.
Do you think they're getting
50.
general education or just Jewish education?
In the school I teach in, it's both. So they get a strong general education and a strong Torah education. Somewhat strong. I mean, now that I'm there, it's strong. Okay. But what's the point? A loyal person is loyal to their friends, right? And information and confidence. Next. A friend, this is interesting. A friend is loved at all times. A brother is born to share adversity.
Okay, boys.
Says it all.
You're all there for each other.
Well, pretty much.
Yes.
I do think in times when some of us have been more needy than others, the others have really helped.
Some others haven't.
If they were able to. Well, Paul, it actually goes, this is an interesting question, nothing to do with anyone on this call. But it speaks about, right, to being there, helping people in their adversity. What happens if there's an issue of faith with that person?
What
do you
So I know a case. I have a guy over here in Baltimore, right? I have a guy here in Baltimore that came to me and said, I'm down and out. I'm really, it's tough times. Can you give me a loan? A significant loan, more than $1,000. And the problem was this. I did not trust him. I had no faith that he would pay me back. And I wasn't prepared to give him $1,000 as charity. So what do you do? I'm not, he's really is down and out. It's very hard to see.
Do you know his family, Nick?
Not so well, no.
Bring him along for a couple hours and tell him you'll get back to him.
No, Paul. I need to give him an answer. Yes or no?
Yeah, tomorrow. Send him a food
Oh,
package. Nick.
Paul, that's not an answer. He needs to, you know what? It's much better for him to actually get a no than a maybe. Because, especially if that maybe is really a no, and I'm just scared to tell him, because at least he can move on. He's not hoping that Nitzan Bergman's going to help him out. Much better that he knows, no, that's not where I'm going to get my loan. So let me try other things. But if he thinks that there's a chance with me, he might not he might not try other avenues. So it's really hindering him more than helping him by not giving him a clear no.
So you're asking for an answer, or are you telling us?
That's my opinion. I don't think there's another way.
I think you should tell him to get a job as an Uber driver.
If he's open to that, I mean, I actually told him that he should get a job in Trader Joe's. I thought he'd be excellent for that. I'm not sure the Trader Joe's will take him.
Your advice to him was to go and get a job rather than ask me for money.
But he's got issues.
Did he?
No, still down and out. I don't know who helped him. I didn't. I don't have that money to give to charity. If I knew I'd get paid back, I'd loan him the money. There was a guy here that wanted to buy a house, who I trusted implicitly, and I signed a guarantor slip for him, and it was fine. He took the loan and he paid it back. I mean, all I did was guarantee it, but because I had faith in him. Okay, Yoisi ben Yochanan, man of Jerusalem, says, may your home be open wide, may the poor be members of your household. This is a commitment to community. We don't live alone. Other people, we're all in this together. We need to take care of the poor. They should be members of your household. Yeah. I remember in Israel, I would go on a Friday night sometimes when I was single to a family, the Hirsches, actually in Meir Sharim. It was a very religious place, a neighborhood. And they would host me, no car, but they had a guy who lived on the streets to come for Friday night dinner. Whenever I was there, that guy was there, and he sat next to Mr. Hirsch, and Mr. Hirsch served him food, and that was what they did. And it was, in a way, I stuck up my spoiled nose, maybe he's a bit, who knows when last he took a bath or whatever. But then after a while, I realized, wow, it's just incredible that this guy, has a place to go on a Friday night to have a decent meal once a week. It was like unbelievable that and it didn't diminish Mr. Hirsch. In fact, it made Mr. Hirsch unbelievable. So, right, I think we live in a society that's very snobby about helping people that are really down and out. There are programs or whatever, and the government tries, but even on a personal level, when people, we don't want to be attached to them, but I don't think that's right. Okay, moving on, folks. A little bubbler.
You should put your granddaughter in that picture.
Okay.
What is this?
It's the designer of this that put her granddaughter in the. That's her granddaughter. I'm gonna tell her. That's very funny. Okay.
You said,
Talmud. The Talmud says, yes, mother. Did you say something?
no, I said, what did Michael say?
Oh, Michael said that instead of this baby, we should have little Leah. I said it's the lady that designed this workbook. Her name's Nina. So this is Nina's grandson.
Oh.
Okay. Happy is the man who has his quiver full of them. They should not be put to shame when they speak with their enemies in the gate. The Gemara asks, what is the meaning of the phrase enemies in the gate? With regard to Torah study, Rabbi Chia bar Abba said, even a father and his son or a rabbi and his student who are engaged in Torah together in one gate become enemies with each other due to the intensity of their studies, but they do not leave there until they love each other. Meaning, this is a huge issue in the United States of America right now. We have to agree to disagree. We can't just disagree, right? We are together. Love means connected. We are in this together. We can argue, we can disagree, but we should agree to disagree. We can't, right? This country's falling apart because
The problem is 10% of this country thinks they're so how can you agree to disagree with somebody that thinks they're right?
Well, I was thinking about it.
Fine.
I think you can only really have you can only debate with another person if in your mind there is a possibility they might have some truth that you don't have. If you are convinced, listen, if a Seventh-day Adventist knocks on my door to give me some reading materials or to engage me in conversation, believe me, I don't.
Yeah.
I have no interest. I don't believe that he has any truth to give me. May call me a bigot or whatever. But you have to believe that there might be an aspect of truth that they have that you don't have. And then your conversation's interesting. If you think they absolutely are off their rocker, they have nothing to contribute at all, you can't have a debate. And I think that's a mistake in what's happening in the country, because it's not everyone's like that. Not every liberal is completely off their rocker. Not every conservative is a crazy man. And the problem is that the extremes have affected the middle, where the extremes believe that. And that belief has spread to people that should not believe that, because it's actually not true.
So I think if you're open to listening to the other side and let the other side be heard, even if you disagree, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But I have an issue with people.
I don't think it's an exercise in just listening. It's an exercise in actually belief that maybe. Why would you waste your time listening to someone that you don't think is telling you anything worthwhile?
Well, that's why I don't watch TV.
You have to. Me too. Why would I do that? So you have to believe that there's not that they are 100% right, but they might have something to say which could bring you a little closer to what you think the truth is.
Yeah.
I got very upset when Joe Biden called me a right-wing MAGA Republican, that I was a terrorist threat to this country.
Did you hear Trump's speech yesterday?
No.
No.
And Biden's speech?
No, no one listens to Biden.
Read a little bit.
Did you?
Okay, here's an interesting question, then I want to end for tonight, please. Is there a value to keeping commitments implicit, or should they be made explicit? Meaning, let's say with a friend, there's an agreement you have with your friends, or an understanding that, you'll invite them to you once, they'll invite you to them. You reciprocate, a reciprocal relationship. Do you ever need to speak that out and say, our relationship is meant to be reciprocal. I'm feeling that it's not. Or it doesn't help to speak it out.
Well, Johnny
It
should be
just comes naturally, doesn't it?
not at all.
Not at all. That was Jonathan's issue with his friends that he doesn't have anymore, is that he would
Jonathan says,
You're under a sort of moral obligation to ask me to dinner back.
Jonathan always used to say, especially with a few friends, one of whom he's still friendly with, but basically it doesn't matter who it is. But I'm just saying, he always felt he was the one always calling, always making the effort, and the other friend didn't make the same effort. So eventually he said, well, if that's the case, then I don't really care if I'm friends with them or not.
But he didn't confront him. That was my issue. I said to Johnny, tell this guy, listen, I'm calling you every day. Now and again, I would expect that you'd call me. And Johnny said, no, if he's not going to do it, I'm not talking to him about it.
I agree.
Would have it
Change
helped?
friends. You was never friends in the first place. Let's move on. Why try and fix something that's not going to work?
How do you know it's not going to work? Sometimes.
Because if you've been calling someone every day for 5 years, they never call you, they ain't going to start.
You know what, Paul? If someone called me every day for 5 years, I'd kind of get used to the fact that they call me. Might not occur to me that they expect a call from me. Like, I know he's going to call me at 10 in the morning because he's driving his car and that's what he does. So.
Who's that?
Why would I, all of a sudden, if he stopped calling me, I'd be like, oh, something's wrong. He doesn't want to call me anymore. I have no clue that he's sitting there thinking, oh, when am I going to get my call?
No, if you got half a brain, you'll figure it out.
Why? I'm honestly, that is what, if someone called me regularly and then stopped calling me regularly, I would think they are angry with me for, they don't want to speak to me. I wouldn't call them necessarily. But if they called me up and said, listen, I call you, it would be nice if you called me now and again. I'll be, okay, fine, I'll call you. Mom, you look very serious about this issue.
Hmm?
You
I look very serious.
Yes.
Yes, well, I know about it.
And what do you think?
Well, Mom, I wasn't even talking about Philip.
No, you weren't. Well, you mean there's somebody else like that?
Well, hang on. No. Mom, what do you think about it? Should you call them up and read them the Rights Act? Or do you say, listen, they don't get it, move on?
Well,
I don't know if there's a third option. Get your mother to call. I'm not
he
sure.
made an effort by coming here when Johnny was here.
Yeah, Mom, the only question is, do you sometimes tell your friends what friendship means?
No, I just assume they know.
But if they don't know because they are not being faithful to their friendship, to the friendship.
Darling, I don't think that I can actually answer that question.
Okay, well, do think about it and maybe we'll start. Okay, next week should be good. Look at that. We have Rosh Hashanah, Monday, Tuesday, but Thursday should be good.
What's on the topic for next week?
Do not murder. Oh, one of my favorites.
I think Johnny better be on this one.
Well, you could just
Okay.
go back to the end of your last one. Because Johnny probably felt like murdering.
Maybe.
Murdering
Okay.
who?
Thank you, everyone. Good night. And I hope we speak before Rosh Hashanah. If we don't speak before Shabbos, have a good Shabbos. Goodbye and thank you.
Johnny,
Yeah.
Nick, thank you. And it's very
Bye-bye.
nice.
Thank
to
you.
get-
Thank you,
Next-
Nick. That was just
next-
one.